Okay, today I'm gonna talk about state in React. So first, we need to clarify a simple component versus class component. So a component with state is a class component. On the contrary, it's simple component. What is state? State is data in the component which is used to make page refreshing. So let's click simple versus class and script barbell. Now we make a component here, class person extends React component render return h1 this simple versus class component, and we render this person simple versus class. Right now we open this file, so you can see it here. It is simple versus class, right? So now we print this to React component. We print this parent class and we print new instance of this. As you can see it here, so the parent class React dot component has three properties: props, context, refs. And on the instance there is context, props, refs, and there is another property called state, which is null. So what actually happened here, I can show you in a plain JavaScript. Simple versus class component. So suppose we have a class called person, constructor name age this dot name this dot age, and we have another class called student extends person, and we have a constructor something like this. In this constructor I don't want to inherit anything from parent class. I just want to add a state property on it. So this state is state and this state is now. Now we can output this. So first person. We give it a person. Okay, so we give it a new student. We give a new student vehicle. Oh, open this file. Oh, sorry. So super. As you can see here, this is a parent class. It is a person similar to React dot component, and the first instance inherit three properties from parent class, including age, name, and the state is null. So we render method create an instance for s and add state property instance for us. Right. So what really happened here is this render method, it will just create an instance for us and add another property called state. So this is what state is. So a simple component like the function component will never be a class component because function has no state property. But the newer version, the update version of React, there is a concept called hooks. They can add a property state in the function component, but we will just talk about it in the future. Yeah, so now we know what is state and how it works, and it just something this render method did for us. And now we just want to print something on the page. Script bubble. So suppose we have a class called weather extends React component and by excising state, right? So suppose we have a wider component. We have a constructor. Again, for now, we don't want to inherit anything from React.component, and we just initialize a state value. So we give it a is hot or not. So state is an object just in case you wanna put multiple key value pairs. The reason why it is an object instead of just a simple variable, because we sometimes we want to know other than it's hot, we want to know wind, maybe it's big, right? Stuff like this. So now we have constructors, so we just render this. So we want to render this like today is a hot day, right? And render wider. We need another dev element here. Dev print, right? So print. We open this page. Today is health day, right? So we don't want it only a health day. We want this value could be printed by accessing the data from state. So right here we want to put some JavaScript expression here. Right? So state, just get a const is hot. This dot state, destructuring statement, right? Destructuring assignment. So now we can just use is hot directly. If it is hot, we return hot, or it will return code. Refresh. So now it is a code day, right? Because value here false, right? So it's not hot, so we return code. Now we have already print something by accessing state, right? So again, we wanna add event on the element. What we wanna do when we click this, it should toggle code or hot repeatedly. So now we want to add an event on the element first. So def 3 add script barbell. Okay. So there are 3 ways that we ban any event on any element in the JavaScript, right? So we just can add event listener. We can add on click event, or we can ban a function on the on click. Right. I'm gonna show you here. So suppose now we have a script. It is JavaScript, and number 3 add event on the element. So add event listener. So suppose we have button. It's called button 1, button 1, and button 2, button 3, button 2, button 3. We have 3 buttons here, and first we add event listener on it. So we get let btn1 document get element by id btn1 add event listener click, and on this click there is function. So console log, this is button 1, right? We can also do b add on click event select button 2 document dot add element btn2 on click, and there is a function here. Console log, this is button 2, right? We can also do C ban a function on click. So in the button 3 we have on click. So we ban a function like print, right? So now we just need to define this print. So this is button 3. Now we open this page. There are 3 buttons. Click. This is button 1, button 2, button 3, right? So now we have 3 ways to do that. And the React recommend this way of bending. So React choose number 3 to add some event on any element. Okay, so simply we just put just copy this class here and remove this. So on this element we give it a on click print number 3, right? Okay, so we need to define this print number 3. So lock add event listener on the element. Right. So now we render this element, render 3, render 3, add, yeah, 3, add. So we open this page again. So you can see here it says invalid event handler property on click. Did you mean on click? So what does that mean? It means A, B, C, D. On click. On click. The reason why React require us to do so, just like what we it is pretty similar to what we do like class class name to differ from syntax of raw JavaScript, right? So if there is like on blur, you just simply do uppercase on the second word. So now we choose on click. It says there's another error message says on click listener to be a function instead of got a value string tab. Because of what? Because this part it is a string, right? We want to give it a function right here. So so we just in JavaScript syntax we ban a function, so we want to do print 3 to print 3, right? Because this is another like value here, right? So you cannot just pass a string variable here. So we do print 3. We just run this page again. Oh, as you can see here, add event listener on the element. So when we click this, nothing happened. Because what? print3 will execute immediately. So what we want to do, we want to print3 to print3. So what we did here is similar to, first we just changed this and we refresh the page. As you can see, add listener 9 times 10, 10, 11, 13. What we did here, we did something like this. We see D, E, F. Make function executed in the future. Right? We don't want this function execute right away after when we refresh the page. We want to make the function run in the future. So suppose we have a test function. We have test make function executed in the future. So when you call it, you do test. When you call this function, it will execute right away, right? So what we want to do, we want to do like const temp test. We pass this function as a variable, and when we call it, we call temp, right? So open this page again, as you can see here, make this function execute in the future, right? So we just pass a variable here. So whenever we click it, it will just call this function at that moment, right? So now we successfully add function, like add some interaction on this element. Yep. So step 4, we wanna change the state while clicking the page, right? We need another for change, and we need another script barbell, right? So we just copy this. Right. Just remove all those comments. Okay. So now we have render. We have. We don't want to print this word. We want to print something else. We want to print the data. We want to, when we click this, we want this value change. Like today is a cold day, today is hot day. Every time we click this element, the state, the data will be changed, right? So what we want to do, like first we need to get this data first. Is hot. This dot state, right? And we want to cancel is hot. After this is changed, right? So finally we need to modify that. Right, something like this. So we display this value, we display this data. After that, we store another reverse value in the state. And next time when we click it, it's gonna toggle cold and hot, right? So now it says cannot read property state of undefined. This part. So this state of undefined. So this is undefined, right? So this is pretty straightforward. So this function is outside of the class. So print number 3 doesn't know like what this is, but normally there is a function. Let me show this. So comment for change state while clicking the page, right? So JavaScript, right? So suppose there is function 1. We just print this, and suppose there is okay, just print this first. Oh, we haven't called this function, f1, right? As you can see here, function 1, and it is window. So normally when you cannot read state from undefined. Normally when you access the state in a function, it should be window. But why this time it is undefined? Because we are using bubble. So let me show this. So script bubble, right? Function f2. A function this pointer in the raw JavaScript bubble, right? So suppose we have function 2, just console log this is function 2, and console log this. We'll call this function here f2. So this is function 2 and undefined, right? So this is the function in the raw JavaScript. This is function in the barbell, right? So it is undefined. Why it is different? Because when you use the barbell right here, barbell will start use strict mode automatically. Suppose we have function 3 and we give it a use strict. Console log function 3 use strict. Console log dot this. Now we call this function. Function 3 use strict, so undefined. This is the reason why you can get a cannot reach a state of undefined right here, right? So now you cannot access the state from this class because React DOM dot render this method create a new instance for us, so we cannot so that's the reason why we cannot access the state, right? So the most stupid way we do this, we can just get like a global value here like that, right? So right here we can do that equal to this dot state, right? So now we store the state of this instance from the constructor to that value, right? So right here we don't use this state, we use that, right? So we can get this hot, and after that we can do that is hot, and we don't right. So now we open this file again, see if we can access a value. Now as you can see, false, true, false, true, false, right? So it works, right? It works right here. Now it works. But this seems like very stupid because we don't want to get another value like global variable here to simply store something like this. So we don't want to do that. So instead we can just put this function inside of class. Now this we don't need function keyword, right? Because this is a class. So now we can just access the value from inside of class, from class internally, right? So now we don't need this that anymore. We can just do this dot state, okay? This dot state, this dot state, right? Okay, so now we open this file in the browser again, click add event listener all over. For change, yeah, okay. Add event listener on the element. Yeah, well, okay, we need to give it another name, right? So, or if we just still call print number 3. So, yep, let's refresh this. Print 4 is not defined. Why? Because when you run this render method, it will just create a new instance for you. It will just use the constructor, but anyway, of course, I mean, so it will just use this method, this render method. It will call this render method from the instance, of course. But this method cannot be so it means that this method is not on the instance. It's not on the instance of this class, this provider class, right? Because it is undefined, right? But we can just print this a little bit. So log this. as you can see here, this instance has no method called print number 4, right? There's no print number 4 here. That means that when we use this method, render create a new instance, but render didn't call print number 4. So how do we solve this? Probably we could just add print 4 equal to this dot print 4 dot band this, right? We just add this when it runs this constructor. This keyword represents this instance. So now we band this instance to this function. So this function is pointing to this, right? Okay, let me show this again. So print 4 is not defined. Oh, okay. Yeah, this print 4 is not defined. Alright. So right here, on click, this print is not defined. So first we need to make it on the instance. Just let the on click know that, hey, this is the method on the instance, right? So, yeah, now it works just fine. So when we click it, true or false, true or false, true or false. But we have changed it here, so we just remove this for the moment. Refresh the page, click. It says cannot read the property state of undefined. It is undefined again. Why? Number 4, it is B. Okay. Cannot read state of undefined, because if there is a function in the class, the pointer this in this class, how to say that? The class method cannot accept this. Let me show you this example. Okay, number 4, JavaScript pointer this pointer in the class. So function f4, right? Oh, so we just simply print this, right? Call f4. So this is function 4. All right. Open this file. This is function 4. So number, as you can see, it's 87. It is 87. So 87. It is window right here, right? So suppose we put this function in the class. Class test, sorry. Okay. simply put solog new test dot f4, right? This is empty. This is let's just do t dot new test, right? So solog t dot f4. $88 this test. So as you can see, it is the pointer in the class. It points to the instance of this class. It is a new test, which just seems look good, right? Okay, so there's a little difference right here. So we didn't call this right away, right? So what we did right here, as you can see, we pass the function as a variable here. So now we can do let x t const x dot new t dot and f4, right? We pass this value to constant, and now we call this function instead x, right? This is what we do here. We pass it and we call it in the future, in the later, right? Open this page. As you can see, function 4 88, right? So this is undefined, right? Because when we pass this, we didn't store the value. We didn't bend any instance on this function. It's just a simple function without any instance this pointer, without any pointer in this function. So how could we solve this? We can just use print4, and when this instance has been created, we just bend an instance right here. Now it should work. Let me just give you a example again. Bend a pointer on the function, right? So again, we just class test number 1. We have f5 function. We just give it a this is function 5 console log dot this, right? So in the constructor, I don't want to show this anyway. So I don't want to show you in this way. So suppose like we have light t1 dot new test 1, right? And we have, so we have a function called const y equal to t1, this instance, f5 dot band this. What this lab code do, it will return a new function with a pointer with a specific pointer. So now we just call this function again, right? Call function y again. We call it later. We didn't use it from the t1 instance. We call it later, but we banned this pointer right here. So we open this file. As you can see here, right? So function 5 window, right? Function 5. We shouldn't ban this. This is window, so we ban t1. Function 5 t1, right? So now it works. It just works. So if you ban this, the this in this context, it is window. Now we ban a t1, return another function reference address. It is y. We call it y function later, and we call it, and the state of this function is still here. The pointer of this is t1, right? So that's the reason why we do this right here. When every time when the instance has been created, we just span this to this function, right? It just looks like a little bit, I mean, complex. So whatever, just you can see here, true or false, true or false, true or false, right? So it just works fun, and in this case. So comment 5. Now we wanna set state. So the value has changed, but the page has not refreshed. So this should be hot code, right? So why this is not changed? Because the way we set the state is wrong. Let me show you this. So set state, and we copy this from number 4, and we remove all those comments. Yeah, okay. Okay. 5 set state, and right here we want to give it a new name. Just print 5. Print 5 right here. Okay. Oh, okay. Need to copy this as well. It says type error, band of undefined. So what happened here? Oh, it's print 4. Okay, 5, print 5, right? The reason why the value has been changed, but the page didn't refresh. Because right here, as you can see, you cannot wrong way of changing setting state. Yeah, so now you have already changed this value, but the reason why the page is not refreshed because we need to use this API in the React to set the state. It's called this dot set state. Instead of this, it is a state object is hot, right? So let us just take a look at this again. Code hot. It changed, right? So the reason why we want to do it this way, because sometimes suppose you have not only one value key value pair, you have wind, like big, all right? So when you want to set up this, you just want to like do it this way, because so this is like an object which is like looks more reasonable. So suppose we have and we give it wind. Of course we need to get this value right here. Sorry. Sorry. Class split, right? And wind is big, right? Hot code. So there is a small question here. So is it merged or replaced? Definitely, obviously it is merged. So what does this mean? So now you only have changed one property in this object, in this state object, right? So its hot is changed, but now when you print this element, today is like wind is, the wind never changed, right? So if it is replaced second time, when you click this again, the wind should be empty, right? Because you only have set one property is hot here. You didn't reset the wind property, right? So it is merged. Whatever any property you change, the other properties will be merged into this new object with this modified property. All right. Yeah. So so this is number 5, and the last thing is comment clean code. Because the code is so, it looks like so complex, right? So we just want to do a simple thing. We just want to do a state change, a state modify, and we want to refresh the page, but the React just give us too much work to do. So we have to clean this code, make this simpler, make this simpler to use, right? So, okay, first I'm gonna show you comment clean code, right? Script barbell, right? Whatever barbell or JavaScript, I will just show you a JavaScript, a simple thing. So the first thing we want to change is, can we just get rid of this, get rid of the constructor, or can we just, because it's very hard to access the state in the function, even though they are in the same class, the print number 5 cannot access this function, which is not quite right. So what we want to do, we want to just make this instance, this property on every instance, and it could be accessed globally. It could be accessed globally. So there are two ways of declare priority in the class. So first is class test number 2. We have a constructor name, this dot name dot name. We can also do like h dot male, sorry, gender male, because gender male is not, will not, it is not, will be, it won't be changed, right? And maybe, I mean, normally it won't be changed, right? So now we print this, a new instance of test 2. We open this file again. As you can see here, name is undefined, but gender is just right here. Whatever, how many instances you create, gender is still here. So you can just right? So like when we pass something like a name called fecal, gender name, right? So in this case, we can just put this state outside constructor, so this state can be accessed by the printf, right? So because it's not instance like property, it is a class property, right? So in this way, let's do open code hot, right? So now we just don't need to worry about the state, how to access the state, because each instance, it has a state like this. So based on the same logic, we can also get a function, declare a function like this. So we can just get rid of this code, this line of code, because suppose like, so we have a print, we have print 5, and it is a property, and this property is a function. We give it a arrow function, right? So we just delete this. These two are same thing, right? These two are same thing, right? So we open this page again. Code hot, code hot, code hot. Hey, so we haven't inherit anything from the parent class, so we can just get rid of this constructor. So refresh page, code hot, code hot, code hot, code hot. Right. So now it just looks much simpler. It just much simpler. Right here, yeah. And the reason why, there's a tricky part. So if I define a function, define a property like in this way, using function keyword, like 25, let's see, cannot read property state of undefined. Why? Because when we use this way of declaration, this is undefined using function keyword. State of undefined, because the arrow function has no this. The arrow function has no this. So when arrow function cannot find this, it will just find this pointer outside of the function, outside of this function. It will just search this from here inside of class, right? So this is the reason why I can just print this. As you can see, this pointer is weather instance, right? So now it just looks much simple, much clearer and simpler in this case. Well, if we just declare class property instead of instance property using this way of declaration, and we declare functions like this. So yeah, this is pretty much about the state of React.